Welcome back to DC-Cember, as me and my guests, Velvetjoker and Patrick Palen, continue through the top 12 DCEU movies.
I feel like a fraud.
Definitely one of the more intriguing sequels, and I gotta say, I feel like the director of it, he should not get so much hate because of this.
Yeah, I didn't experience it as an awful movie. It didn't move the needle for me. I'm really surprised that it's voted at this point on the list.
I feel like that's the common thing with most of these DC movies, is that the story and some of the directions may be questionable, but as far as for the actors, for how they portray the characters, that seems to be more or less spot on, especially for the leads.
I just threw a truck at a dragon. I love my life.
In that vein, I felt like Shazam as a character, especially it being the second movie, I felt like his mentality, how he played him, was more childlike than he did in the first movie. And meanwhile, the kid is older now, and I really thought that was a weird play.
I see your point, yeah, because that seems to be a common thing with both Shazam movies, as they feel like that the kid actor acts a lot more mature, but yet when he's an adult, he acts goofy.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the Shazam family and them all getting powers, and that lines up with the comics. I thought that was a lot of fun. I didn't think the bad guys were the most strong bad guys. I think I like the extra scene Mr. Mind idea better than who we got. Can't even think of their names.
Yeah, I don't remember their individual names. All I remember is just the Daughters of Atlas. They're not the most impressive bad guys, but I feel like they're very fitting of mythological origin, given where Shazam gets his powers from. Though I will say I'm glad they made the costume upgrades, because I always felt like in the first movie, it was too much padding.
I can see that.
But I feel like maybe if they made this movie a little bit earlier, because I mean, that's the downside with going for teen actors, just because they can only be convincingly teens for a good while. Like, whereas if they went with someone who was like maybe 10 or 12 to be cast as Billy Batson, and that way, if it's a few years later, it can still work.
Yeah, they grow up, like you said, and then eventually you're like, okay, they're almost old enough to vote, if not already.
Pretty much, yeah. But I like to think that when they have those powers, I feel like even if they're adults, they still transform to be different, because it's like, I guess in a way they have their God form, so to speak.
That's a really good question. I don't really know enough about Shazam to know like what does happen theoretically if you grow into an adult and you still have that Shazam power. Like, do you just look the same, or do you turn into Zachary Levi?
Yeah, because I remember in Young Justice, when they did their time skip, they have Billy, I think during season 2, he was like 16. But, you know, he turns into Shazam and everything, looking bigger and stuff.
Yeah, now that I think about that, like they say the lightning hits him and then he just turns into Shazam. But does his child body morph like the Hulk into the body of Shazam? Or is like they're just a form of Shazam and they're sort of just occupying the mind? I think that's a question the next time any of us are at a con when we run into some of the creators.
Yeah, I like to think it's more like a magical version of the super soldier serum for Captain America. I never see like if it's like a different personality or something, or a different like alter ego. I just feel like it's just when they say we're Shazam, physically the body is put at its peak performance, just, you know, adding powers to it.
But like to Velvet's point though, like you were saying, it's kind of odd when you see the Shazam version of him, Zachary Levi, acting more goofy than like when he's like in that form than when he's a teenager, where he seems to be like really mature for his age.
I feel like sometimes Billy, when he's his regular self, I feel like in this version, he has this wall where he wants to try to be more mature, but when he's Shazam, I guess because of the powers, he feels like he can really let himself be a kid again, sort of, just because I want to say it's more of a state of mind, like where he feels like I have powers now. I don't have to worry about laying my guard down because I'm powerful, I'm strong, I can fly, you know, because I feel like with his story, he had to grow up pretty fast.
That's a really good point. Like when you are basically like Superman, then who are you going to be worried about pushing you around? So you can just be the kid you already are.
I will say for the second movie, I definitely liked some of the humor, especially with the kids when they bring together the whole army of unicorns by using Skittles.
Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!
And I want to say the fight sequence with the wooden dragon, like that was very badass.
It was interesting. That's for sure. They really did go for something unique with this one and the first one, and I do appreciate that. I mean, God knows it was way more optimistic in its tone than Man of Steel.
It's definitely interesting also that even though all the ones that we're talking about so far, the lower rated ones, there still are a bunch of fun elements.
Yeah, like the jump scare with thinking you're going to see Wonder Woman, but it was just the face of the wizard.
You are a fool of a champion. What?
And then at the end, they actually bring in Gal Gadot for another cameo.
She gets lots of cameos.
That's one thing I'll say about with the ending. It's another case of where like, oh my God, he made the ultimate sacrifice. But yet they found a loophole where, thanks to Wonder Woman, Billy's back to life and everything.
Thanks for watching today's episode. If you enjoy the commentary, be sure to check out my guest podcast channels. Click the links in the description box to find out more details.